Hello, welcome back to Everyday Magic. I'm Jess, and I am super excited to dive into a couple of key transits that are happening this year in 2025. I find them completely fascinating. I find them completely inspiring and excited. And I know for myself, I am so curious to see how this unfolds for each of us individually as well as collectively because I don't know, it just seems so perfect that you're like, you can't make this stuff up, right? Okay, so let's just dive right in. And this isn't going to be a deep dive into these transits, it's really an overview just to give you a sense of, again, how you feel this being activated within you. And that is perfectly said because this year and really the next handful of years is really all about you. Okay. And let me explain this. So, the first transit I'm going to talk about is Neptune moving into the sign of Aries. Neptune, we think of like the mystic, okay? So just as I say Neptune energy and you think of the mystic, Neptune has been in Pisces. Pisces, spirit, right? So you think mystic and spirit, right? You can hear and sense the energy that brings. But now in 2025, this super transformational year, Neptune is shifting into the sign of Aries. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, it's the first house. It's all about self, it is all about you individually. So feel into what this means for you, right? So when we think of Pisces being in Neptune, or Neptune being in Pisces, I guess I should say, and we think of, I guess more for me, I mean, you can feel for you. All of our experience is going to be a little bit different. But over, the past few years, I have had a major spiritual awakening, right? Kind of connecting to that energy, really in Pisces energy, really connected to spirit, finding that connection, and just feeling there's not like so much I can say. It's like that's as simple as I can make it seem, but that energy has just been so present for me. And now, as Neptune moves into Aries, moves into self, again, and I keep saying it, this message has been so true on so many of my videos recently where I'm talking about going within. Now we're being asked, we're being invited, it's just aligning for us now to see the spirit within, the mystic within. Okay, so maybe again, feel for you, right? Maybe you have felt this outside of you, or you have looked for this outside of you, or maybe you've even felt that connection within you, like I have. But now my interpretation of this is really that we are being called, and not even just that we're being called, we are going to feel this much more internally. We are going to see and feel how truly, deeply connected to the mystic we are, that the mystic lives within us, within each and every one of us. And then by extension, how do we now move through the day, move through the world, right? Move through the weeks with that deep inner connection. And I want to just look at my notes to make sure I have the days right. So this is also really interesting because Neptune is going to move into Aries March 30th. And then it's going to go retrograde back into Pisces October 22nd. But then it's going to go back into Aries January 2026. And it's going to be there until 2039. Okay? feel for that. This is a 14-year transit. And this is just so it's so fascinating to me. I know I keep saying it, but it's like the mystic is you. The mystic is in us. We have that power. And when we think of, again, Neptune being in Pisces, and that's, these are all 14-year transits. So that is how we have lived our life, consciously or not, for the past 14 years. So even reflecting on, thinking back over the past 14 years, what have you learned? How have you grown, right? When we think of spirit and mystic, I think of like expansion and evolution, and again, that connection to something bigger. Maybe things have shifted for you. Maybe you've started to feel different, right? And I think that this is so beautiful that this is happening during this time, because it's like we've seen, I want to be careful with my words here. We've seen the language, and really the language has been here for a really long time, about looking outside of ourselves for a connection to whatever higher power resonates with you. Okay? And not that there is anything inherently wrong with that, but through my own spiritual journey, I got really curious about, why was I not taught this when I was younger, growing up in the Episcopal Church, right? And again, I was young, and maybe I just don't remember, how these teachings were spoken about in church. But it's been through my own spiritual journey and my own connection to spirit within that has completely changed my life. And feeling that connection, feeling that whatever I'm looking for doesn't exist out here, right? It only exists in here, has been the single thing that has profoundly changed my life in the most amazing, beautiful, magical ways. And I only say that to, I don't know, if that resonates, if that inspires you, if you're like, yes, that is what I'm looking for. That is like that deep longing that I didn't know I needed, but as I'm saying it, it's like activating in something inside of you. Go on that journey for yourself, right? And you already are on that journey. We already are having this very spiritual journey alongside of this very human experience. But connecting to that, doing your own work, meditation, right? Whatever feels good and true for you, do it. And just have fun with it, and get curious, and be super open to whatever wants to unfold, because again, this is what we are really being asked of right now. And again, I find it so interesting, because for me, and again, I'm only sharing these anecdotes, maybe you can relate, but really just in an effort to make it a little bit more tangible. But for me, I have really just been feeling called, just it's almost like my there's a part of me that remembers a time when we were deeply connected to spirit. A part of me that remembers a time when we lived deeply connected to the land and to the animals and to the plants and to one another. And that for me is what has really been coming online. So now I love that I, again, personally have already started, kind of feeling this shift. And then now with Neptune going into Aries, I feel like it's like a deepening into that, a deepening into, again, the mystic within, okay, spirit within, whatever language like floats your boat, okay, it's all right. It's not wrong as long as it feels good and feels true for you. Okay, now another way to kind of blow things up a little bit more. And again, you can't make this stuff up. Saturn has been in Pisces. Where is Saturn moving? Yes, Aries. And again, I might not have written the dates down. I want to say Saturn's moving into Pisces May 24th, I believe. Oh my gosh, sorry, I didn't write this down. I can come back. I can come back to it. But this is what I find super, super interesting with this transit. So again, Saturn in Pisces. We already know Pisces is spirit, right? It's the spiritual realm. And when we think of Saturn, we think of like foundations. We think of kind of, or I guess this is kind of like my interpretation. It's like putting in the work. It's like the foundation, the persistence, it's rooted in the reality of the situation. And again, with Saturn being in Pisces, it was really an opportunity to look at like a bigger vision, a bigger dream for yourself. But then Saturn's like looking at the reality of that. But what often doesn't get mentioned with Saturn is the Saturn energy is what allows things to manifest. Okay? Because yes, so much with manifestation is like our own natural innate ability to be these powerful co-creators that we are, right? We know that it's like the power of our mind, the power of our thoughts that allows things to manifest. And we are also divinely guided and supported. So it's a mix, right? It's like this beautiful dance that we're all doing that allows things to manifest. Now, with Saturn going into Aries, again, back to your foundations. And my interpretation of this is really what feels so good to you. Okay? What feels so true to you? When I talked about, kind of maybe in the past few years or, however many years, maybe there has been new dreams, new visions, new ideas for your life, like kind of starting to come into your mind, into your thought. But maybe you haven't been like able to be super clear around how to then make that manifest. Now with Saturn being in Aries, it's like, okay, let's get to work. Now we're inner focus. We're like on the ground doing the work, making it reality. But that has to be done from a soul place. Okay, it has to be done from a soul place. So again, back to you. If today were a brand new day and you allowed yourself to just sit with, what do I actually want now? What are those like dreams and visions that I've had for my life that maybe have kind of been swirling around, but I haven't really chosen one or really taken actionable steps to manifest that, to create that in my life? What are those dreams and visions? Or maybe it's just one or two where you're like, that's really what I want. And again, digging into from a soul place, like, I just feel that with every ounce of my being. This is the path forward, right? This is the foundation that I want for my life. And then showing up in that place, okay? Or I should say, like, really from that place. So that is really where you're being invited. You may get a bunch of new clarity finally coming in. Again, when we think of Pisces and we're kind of just like out here a little bit in the spirit realm, but now in Aries, we can bring it in and make sense of it a little bit more in, again, whatever way feels true to you. But it is so important, again, especially with the help of Neptune also moving into Aries, it still is from, and it will be, right? Because now we're connected to the mystic within. So the mystic within, what are those new foundations? What is it that you like want to bring to life and to create? And then Saturn is really helping you manifest that. And I brought out my Gene Keys book because with Saturn, there's also an energy of like limitation around that. And I think it's really like Saturn, it is the manifester. And manifesting isn't always, yes, some things, believe me, I totally believe this. I have experienced this where we can easily call things in. And sometimes certain things require work, right? It requires like boots on the ground doing the thing, okay? So, sometimes there's this like idea of limitation, limits, etc., around Saturn. And it reminded me of one of the gene keys that I wanted to just quickly read. And it's so perfect. I think that this is like a perfect encapsulation of Saturn and what Saturn is capable of when we know how to work with it in a way that is really aligned for us, and again, from kind of that soul place. Okay, sorry, my nose is kind of itchy here. Okay, so this is the 60th gene key, and I'm going to read a little bit of it because I don't have it memorized, so I'm going to have to read a little bit. So this is so interesting. So the shadow of the 60th gene key is limitation. Okay, so again, when we're thinking of that Saturn energy, when we think about limits or limitation, we can easily tap into that. Maybe you can even understand for yourself where you limit yourself, or where you even place limits unconsciously in your life based on beliefs and stories and programs that you have been running for a very long time, since you were a little kid, right? These stories that we created meaning around, and it is what has created our current reality. And again, this is such a beautiful time, a beautiful opportunity, because now it's saying, no, build those new foundations, right? Again, it's year of the snake. It's shedding. It's tapping into like intuitive wisdom. It's trusting. It's like patience, and I'm wanting to say like connecting to like that wise version of you that knows. And when you think of like, okay, what do I really want? Now I get to set this new foundation. This new foundation doesn't have to be rooted in old limitations. Okay, so just letting that sink in. Okay, the first thing that comes up with limitation is closed circuit thinking, right? And that's it. It's like we get to connect to the opportunity, the infinite amount of opportunities that are available to each and every one of us, right? Like the one thing that we believe to be true, or the way in which we thought something had to happen, is no longer the case, right? So again, what is that new foundation you want to build? All right, but this is what's so beautiful. So again, the shadow, limitation, right? We're talking about limits. The gift, realism. Okay, again, Saturn limits reality. Okay, and it says the common sense of magic. And I love that, because it's just, it's like the ability to create the magic. Okay, people with the 60th gift are very sought out in the world, and for one main reason: they understand the limitations of the world of form, and therefore know the laws of manifesting within the world of form. This is what realism refers to in the context of this 60th gift. It is the ability to balance youthfulness and wisdom, idealism with structure. It is all very well having a wonderful idea that will change the world, but without the realism of the 60th gift, this idea will probably never amount to anything. Another synonym for the 60th gift might be the gift of common sense. Common sense is inherent to all human beings, but it is lost whenever a person or a society becomes too bogged down in frameworks and structures. It is through common sense that we human beings evolve and cooperate with creation efficiently and harmoniously. And the power and potential inherent in this gift should never be taken for granted. Isn't that just so it's I feel like it encapsulates the idea of Saturn as the great manifesting force, right? um Again, if you want to find more, go buy the Gene Keys book or rent it from the library. I could keep reading, but I'm gonna leave it there because it's amazing. Oh, this just caught my eye. The 60th gift is like the spaceship that takes man to the moon. Once man has reached the moon, the spaceship is no longer needed, but its creation allows more advanced structures to evolve. Okay? It, okay. All right. I'm so fascinated. I'm so excited by all of this. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know how this resonates with you. Let me know if this is like activating a deeper knowing inside of you. I often say like we have the deeper knowing, and often it's just a matter of giving ourselves permission to be so beautifully honest with ourselves, right? When we can say like what we really want, what we really need, right? Again, nourishing yourself from a soul place, building these foundations, right? Connecting within and really trusting that, trusting what you hear, trusting what you feel, and moving from that place. That is going to be the thing that really profoundly transforms your life in the most magical ways this year and the years to come. And again, this is really 2025 is really the first year of all of these transits that are happening. And you see that like some of them are going retrograde, and we're not even going to necessarily know how it all works in our favor. We're not going to necessarily see the magic and the beauty on the other side. So that's why it's even more important to just be in it, to just enjoy the journey, to just trust, to just find the delight in it all. And I know that that maybe sounds cheesy, but I don't know. I find that that's just like the best way to go through life. And it doesn't mean we're spiritual bypassing. It doesn't mean that we're choosing like this toxic level of positivity, but it's just like honoring and accepting your journey exactly where you are at every moment. And sometimes that means like we just, you know, let ourselves be sad. Sometimes that means that we sit with a shadow aspect of ourselves or a trigger of ours. And instead of running from it and resisting it, we get curious about it and we allow it to come to the forefront and be released. And again, let it heal a part of ourselves that wasn't able to be seen prior to that, right? So that we can come home to our wholeness and our fullness and our truth. All right. So I'm sending you so much love. Again, I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you next time.